So I did my country on Senegal. So the political analysis is they are a republic government, they're strong presidency, weak legislature. The president is elected by universal staff. Adult suffers a 7-year term. The National Assembly has 120 members. They are elected separately from the president. Economically, Senegal's economic growth has been among the highest in Africa between 2014 and 2018, remaining above 60% annually. So they're a little bit above some of like the really poor countries compared to like how much money they have. The GDP growth was about 5.3% in 2019, down from 6.3% in 2017. The services sector continues to be the largest contributor to GDP growth. The technology, so the challenges facing higher education in Senegal. Education is free until the age of 16. So like in the US, we pay for college, going from college, we pay around when we start at the age of 18. But here in Senegal, you're age 16. And then when you go past age 16, you have to pay for it. And that's including non-college also. So that's even for like a high school degree. They do have iPhones and Androids, but they're the lower version. So like an iPhone 4 and 5. They don't have anything higher than that. And if they do, they have it, they travel to the US and then bring it back. So their computers, they have less families have them due to money issues. But in the schools, they have them, but they get like the hand-me-downs. So the social analysis, they have bad health. Drinking water is very insufficient. In 2019, death rate was 5,691. It went down to 1.98%, and it goes down every year. In 2019, the infant mortality rate in Senegal was about 32.7 deaths per 1,000 live births. So every 1,000, there's about 32 infants that are killed during that process. And so in conclusion, I really learned about Senegal. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. 66% of Senegal is in poverty. Government is improving slowly, but with everything going on with COVID, they're kind of going back instead of going forward like they're doing. It's not increasing, it's going behind. Corruption is common with the low-level countries. With all the low-level countries that we've been doing, they all have kind of lost their value. It's going down lower and lower instead of it going up and getting better. The Senegal unemployment rate increases every year in small amounts. So when it increases, the country gets more money, and the country gets more money out of debt to pay for like the needs of like water and food. Senegal is one of the most rarest countries in the fact that they're trying to be healthy and everything, but they just don't have the needs for it.
For my country, I chose Rwanda, and Rwanda is a landlocked country in the Great Rift Valley. Its capital is Kigali, and the population is 12.63 million, and the land area is 10,169 square miles. For political analysis, it's a multi-party republic with the president serves a 7-year term, and it's renewable twice. But this year's president is actually going to be they passed a new law in which the president can renew it a third time. And for corruption, I looked it up, and you can use this link if you want to. And on what they ranked it, it was a 49 out of 180 on the corruption. And it takes place within the framework of a multi-party democracy and a presidential system. And it is politically stable, in which it's kind of, when I was looking up more things on it, they compared it more to our presidency of like America and how it's run in America, and that's how it seemed. For economic, the overall GDP is 10.35 billion. The growth rate is 9.4% annually. the average salary of someone who is working there is $13,198, and the unemployment rate is 1.04%. And the salaries kind of depend on what job you're what job you decide that you're going to be taking. And so this was just like just an average job that you would have to take. For social, it was actually one of the safest places to live in Africa, and it had the highest quality of life in Africa. And some of the things that I thought were really cool about it, they have universal health care, and they also have free education. And this is at all ages, all through like from elementary all the way to college. And for healthcare, they have healthcare no matter what age you are. And that was just some of the cooler things that I thought was in there. For technological, they actually have the first African-made smartphone, which is right here on the screen. This was just something that they didn't really use Apple or anything. It was just primarily shown as this smartphone there. And it's primarily in Kigali is where most where it's the best at for technological advances. And also the main roads are very good to drive on, so the highways and everything. But it did talk about how the best parts are to drive on during the day and not the night. And I think that has something to do with the weather, just like how in the next part it says the side roads are very bad during rainy seasons because you actually have to take like four-wheelers and you can't use cars during the rainy seasons. And my 5 conclusions, I said that Rwanda is a fast-growing upper middle class, and it's a very safe place to live in Africa. It has free healthcare, free education, and most of the jobs there are very well paying.
You're on the clock. All right. The country I chose to do is Sudan, Africa. The country got its name from an Arabic expression known as the land of the blacks. As of 2021, the population consists of 44,909,353, almost 45 million. The language they speak there is Arabic and Fulani, and the Khartoum is the capital of Sudan. It gained its independence in 1956, and it first started as Anglo-Egyptian Sudan colonization in 1899. The president is the head of the state, head of the government, and head commander-in-chief of the Sudanese armed forces. There are 2 presidential elections, Sudan and Southern Sudan. They both require at least 50% majority of the votes to win. It's one of the most corrupt nations in the world. On the economic side, the GDP per capita is $1,724. Yeah, US dollar. That's equal to US dollars in 2019. The ag accounts for 32% of the GDP. The economic growth is 1.6 in 2020. Unemployment rate is 16.62, and the inflation rates are 61.5% as of 2020. For social, the infant mortality rate is about 41 deaths per 1,000. A lot of the deaths are due to diseases, drought, flood, internal conflicts, and violence. The life expectancy is about 65.5 years. That's as of 2020. And only 50% of the people have basic drinking water. On the technological side, they use a lot of their technology for agricultural to transform their farming, to really, grow in that area. The system is used for air conditioning to keep cows, livestock cool. Each cow wears an electronic necklace that transmits data, animal health, and readiness to breed. About 13.38 million internet users in 2020. 12 million out of 45 million people use the internet.
All right. How did I screw up? Thank you. You can go away now.
You're welcome.
All right. So I did Yemen, or as people in Yemen, it's now the Republic of Yemen. It is a West Asian country. It is in the southern end of the Arabian Peninsula. The Republic of Yemen, the two north and south, came together in 1990, and then the capital city is Sanaa, and then their population is 30 million, and it covers about 203 square miles, or 203,000 square miles. All right. For the political analysis, they're one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And they're constantly in civil war. Their president serves a 7-year term and can serve for 2 terms. And then he elects the vice president and the prime minister. So he has control of mostly everything. So it's not really a democracy. Economic analysis. Their GDP is very low. Employment rate is through the roof. And then they are one of the poorest countries out of the Arab countries in that area. Over 50% of their people or population are below the poverty line. Social analysis, very high child mortality rate. It's gotten a lot better from 3 years ago. It was about 300 per 1,000 births. Now it's to 58 per 1,000 births. Obesity rate is pretty high based on their standard of living because of all the bad sanitation, and life expectancy is really low. Technology is growing though. The EDC, Educational Department Center, has been helping them reamp their technology in the classrooms. They're getting grants to improve their technology because of this coronavirus. They're bad shape right now. So all the grants that they're getting for help is going towards improving technology, which will help them in the future. The 5 conclusions are: poverty is the biggest issue. Corruption is one of the highest in the world. Clean water is scarce because of literally it's dry desert, and then they got the sea. Not really much clean water for them. On the brink of famine and lack of democracy. So that's mine. All right.
My country is Burkina Faso. They are just north of Ghana in Western Africa. They used to be called the Upper Volta, and then they became independent from French in 1960, changed the name to Burkina Faso. The capital of Burkina Faso is Ouagadougou. It has 1.8 million people living in the capital. Burkina has 21.3 million people in the country. Their political status, they were obviously, just like I said, they were known as Upper Volta and also the Republic of Upper Volta. Their government is a presidential republic with 5-year terms, and you can get a second term also. And during the vote, you can get 2 rounds of voting if something happens or it's tied or whatever. So 2 rounds of voting is allowed. They have an executive, a judicial, and legislative branches. The legislative is a unicameral with 127 seats. Something that happened was they have a very let's say the problem isn't the government, it's the people. The capital has been a hotspot of terrorism for a while. So anything that they're trying to build up is just getting destroyed, which obviously is not good. Their economics, In 2021, their GDP is going to be posting a 3.9% increase per capita, and per capita in 2019 was about $2,178. 2021 projected consumer prices was up 2%. As of 2019, inflation rate was down 3.2%. Their industrial production growth rate in 2017 was up 10.4%. And in 2019, the unemployment rate was 6.26%. 80% of the population is involved in subsistence farming. There's a lot of farming that happens just for personal reasons and sometimes or trading or whatever, because they are not a very wealthy country. They don't have a lot of things. They don't have a lot of technology or anything. They don't have much of anything. They have what they have. Social, across the board, males and females, the max education they get is they're up to 9 years of age is when they stop taking school. They have high risk diseases, food and waterborne diseases, vector-borne diseases, water contact diseases, animal contact diseases, respiratory diseases. Sanitation is very, very poor in their country. They have 100,000 people living with AIDS in 2019, and 3,100 people died of AIDS in 2019 also. In 2017, there was only 0.08 physicians per 1,000 people. So they're not getting any help with anything. Technology-wise, they don't have anything. Only 16% of the population has access to internet. They have 14 TV channels, and 2 of them are state-owned. Radio is the main media there, and they have more than 140 radio stations. Some of them are state-owned and other regional type stuffs that are owned by governments, but most of them are radio stations local or across the country.